It wasn't the worst loss of the season, but it was still another loss. A worst case scenario for the LA Kings going into the Christmas break becomes a reality. We'll talk about that and more on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years. Also one of the co-hosts of Locked On NHL Game Night, a nightly podcast and YouTube show recapping the night in the NHL. And I'm a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. The LA Kings played game number 36 of the NHL regular season, game 2 of back-to-back home games on back-to-back nights before the Christmas break. LA was coming off what I thought was their worst game of the year in a 3-1 home loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets on Monday. How would they respond one night later against the Seattle Kraken? Well, they played better, but they continue to have the same issues over and over. Lack of offense, poor special teams, not good enough on home ice, and the Kings lose by a score of 3-2. Shots on goal did favor LA in this one, 37-28. That was obviously better, but the special teams still do not help the Kings. They were 1 for 2 was Seattle on the power play, so the LA PK not getting it done, and the power play for the Kings continues to flounder 0-3 in this one, although to be fair, one of the power plays was like 15 seconds long. Face-off, the Kings did a really good job in the face-off circle in this one. They won 52.8% to the Kraken's 47.2%. Hits favored the Kings 25-17. Block shots favored Seattle 19-5. The Kings have now lost 6 of 7, and they have scored 2 or fewer goals in 7 straight games. The big takeaway from this one, well, I didn't have to take any medication after this game like I did against the Columbus game. But look, the effort was much better. The start was pretty much exactly what I was hoping for and what the Kings need to do, frankly, every game. The guys did try to respond the right way, but bottom line was it still wasn't good enough. Now, it's great to see the Kings come out aggressive and have that really good shot mentality. I think that's part of the process of working their way out of this scoring slump that they're in. And you could see the Kings kind of feeding off of it. And I even thought the crowd got into it, as was pointed out by Jim Fox on the broadcast. And that's how the Kings need to start every game, flying around, getting on the forecheck, and most importantly, getting shots on goal. They had 13 shots on goal in the first period. They had some good zone time. They had some quality scoring chances. But again, it all has to lead up to putting the puck in the net. And the Kings were in one of those games where they had good chances, they had good energy, they had the puck for extended periods of time, but they failed to capitalize on all that. It's great to have it, and you have to have it to have success, but at some point it has to result in something as well. And it just hasn't happened for the Kings over this stretch of 6 losses in 7 games. As an example, in the first period, the Kings got a great shot on the opening shot of the game, Warren Foegele setting up Brandt Clarke, and he missed the net. And I thought, man, what a great thing it would be for the Kings to score on their first shot of the game. And they had a great look, and it didn't happen. Later, Clarke had a nice pass to the back post. I think it was Alex Turcotte, though, couldn't get his stick on it. Alex Laferriere was everywhere, caused a turnover on a forecheck, then fed it to Adrian Kempe for a one-timer, and he shot it right into the goalie's chest. There was a Mikey Anderson shot on net with traffic. Andre Kopitar there for a putback attempt. All good chances, but all resulting in nothing. Second period, the Kings are now behind 2-0. Brandt Clarke had a great putback opportunity on a rebound, but he just couldn't get his stick on it. Kings are down 3-1, and Joel Armia had a glorious chance on the power play in that bumper position. He gets a nice feed, couldn't put it in. Third period, Andrei Kopitar gets a chance in front of the net, but the goalie makes a toe save. All great looks, all quality scoring chances, all resulting in no goals. Now, the Kings did score twice, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but not nearly enough results from all of the opportunities created by a lot of good work from the Kings. Head coach Jim Hiller, talking about this one afterwards, said in part, quote, "Didn't feel like that was a game we should have been down 3-0. If you said it was 1-0, we would have been disappointed because for me, we had enough looks to certainly get the first one and get the lead. We played in their zone. I think probably spent more time there than I can remember. The forecheck was good, physical, stole pucks, give them credit. They had people around their net. The goalie played good. And the 2 goals we scored, I thought were pretty nice goals and just didn't get the random goals that have been difficult for us to come by this year," end quote. He's right. And the Kraken were able to get a couple of random goals, and that was the difference in this game, which we'll talk a little bit more coming up. The Kings again lose the special teams battle, as I talked about. And in a 1-goal loss, that obviously makes a difference, as we have seen many times this season. And I cannot claim to be an expert in the strategy of penalty killing, but it seems to me like it's a bad idea to leave a player wide open in front of the net. That's what happened on the first goal of the game, scored against the Kings on the power play. And it was the number 1 scorer and goals producer, the captain, Jordan Eberle for Seattle. He was all alone in front of the net, and he didn't have a lot of room to get the puck in, but he got it in, and there was nobody there to even try and contest it. He was one-on-one with Phoenix Copley. That seems like a bad strategy to me. I don't think it was a missed assignment necessarily. I think that was part of the strategy. And we've seen the Kings do this before. They'll let a guy get the puck down low at the side of the net, and they'll lay down in the crease to try and keep that pass from going through. But they leave those players open down low a lot. And I don't know about that strategy, frankly. It certainly didn't work in this case. So the Kings mixed up the power play units in this one to try and get something going. We had Brandt Clark, Kevin Fiala, Andrei Kuzmenko, Quentin Byfield, and Corey Perry on the new number 1 power play unit. The second unit had Drew Doughty, Adrian Kempe, Andrei Kopitar, Alex Turcotte, and Joel Armia. Maybe that was the first unit. All I know is the Clark unit, if you want to call it that, was the ones that were out on the ice first. So either way, whichever unit you want to call them, 1 or 2, those were the new combinations in this one. And they did get a few decent chances, but no finish. And again, the Kings did a lot of the necessary things you need to do to score, but they didn't score. You need both. And that was kind of the story in this one, right? There was a lot of good things. The effort was there, the forecheck, physicality, zone time, getting shots towards the net. The Kings had it all, both 5-on-5 and some on the power play. But in the end, not enough pucks into the back of the net. I thought it was an interesting decision for Jim Hiller to go with Phoenix Copley in net, and we'll talk more about his night coming up. With the Christmas break, there's 3 days off coming up, and I wondered if they would go with Anton Forsberg on back-to-back nights like they did last week in Florida when the Kings also had 3 days off coming up. But in the end, it was Phoenix Copley that got the chance. I can also see the other side of that decision. You're pressing Forsberg, even though there is time off coming up. Phoenix Copley, he's well liked. I think the guys were happy to see him get a shot back in the NHL for the first time in 2 years as far as starting a game. And maybe you're thinking as a head coach that the Kings might kind of rally around Phoenix Copley. And, it's kind of like when you put a rookie in net or something like that. The team can kind of rally around that. Maybe that was part of the thinking. Maybe it was also part of not wanting to, tax Forsberg so much. Either way, look, Phoenix Copley is getting this opportunity because Eric Portillo is hurt. I think if Portillo's healthy, he's the one who gets the call up, but obviously that's not the case. For Copley, who knows? this might be his final NHL start. He's kind of at that point of his career. So I get the feelings of wanting giving him a shot. And we'll never know if Forsberg had started this game, would he have been the difference? But Copley had one amazing save to deny a goal, and then he had one of the worst fluke goals allowed that you will see. All right, so the worst case scenario happened for the Kings. They lost the back-to-back games on back-to-back nights at home going into the Christmas break. I did not think that would happen. I feared if that did happen, that this could be going into a really dark place soon. The Kings have a very tough schedule coming out of the break, so I was hopeful that they could get, maybe a win and then like an overtime loss or something, getting some points out of this against two very beatable teams on home ice to try and get a little something going into the break. But the worst case scenario was them losing both of these games in regulation, and that happened. So in my mind, the heat is definitely on going into this holiday break for the team, for head coach Jim Miller, and for GM Ken Holland. How are they going to respond out of this? Because the road ahead as we start towards a new year is going to be difficult. Going to be real difficult to pull themselves out with some of these opponents they've got coming up, but they got no choice now. Is Andrei Kuzmenko starting to come around? And Alex Laferriere has a pretty big bounce back game. We'll get into that next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. The holidays are amazing, but they can also get overwhelming fast. Travel, gifts, parties, year-end expenses. It's really easy to lose track of your money this time of year. And that's exactly why Monarch has become such a game changer for me. If you want to keep up on your finances this holiday season, you need to be using Monarch, rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, simple dashboard. The holiday spending category is a lifesaver. You can see exactly what's left as far as your gift and travel budget in real time. Monarch makes money check-ins simple, just a minute or two each week, and you're completely up to speed. It's great for couples, shared dashboards, shared goals, and fewer wait, how much did we spend conversations. Don't let the financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with the code LOCKEDONNHL. Hey, thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it to the next level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On LA Kings with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Check the link in the show notes to learn more. Let's check out some of the individual performances in the Kings' 3-2 loss to Seattle. As far as the lineup went for the Kings, it was the exact same lineup as the previous game on the previous night against Columbus, with one exception, and that was Phoenix Copley would start in net with Anton Forsberg serving as the backup. And I was hoping that the man from North Pole, Alaska could bring us some holiday magic. And he did have an amazing save towards the end of the first period to rob a Seattle player of a goal. But he also had a pretty awful blooper goal that he let in. Copley did finish with 3 goals allowed on 28 shots for his first NHL start since December of 2023. The first goal he allowed was a power play goal. Talked about it. Jordan Eberle all alone in front of the net. He didn't have much to shoot at, but he was able to show some amazing hands and get the puck past Copley. That was a tough goal to allow. I don't think it was a soft goal. I think it was a difficult save to make against a very good player. The second goal was one for the blooper reel. A shot towards the net was deflected by Brian Dumoulin. The puck is slowly fluttering, seemingly harmlessly, towards Phoenix Copley, who puts his glove out to grab it. It pops out of his glove, drops to the ice, and goes between his legs into the net. It's like seeing a Major League Baseball player drop a pop-up or an NBA player miss a wide-open dunk. It's unfortunate. It's embarrassing. And that was a very tough one to let in, especially when the end result is a 1-goal game. The third goal, also more bad luck for both the Kings and Copley. LA gave up back-to-back 2-on-1 breaks. Now, they were able to keep the Kraken from scoring on the first one. The second one, though, goes off the stick of defenseman Mikey Anderson into the net. Had the best of intentions to try and help his goalie to deflect a pass through, but he deflected it into his own net. Obviously, that's not on Copley. According to naturalstattrick.com, Copley had 7 high-danger shots against him. He stopped 6 of them, stopped all 5 mid-danger shots that he faced, but allowed 2 of the 12 low-danger shots against him into the net. I assume the shots, again, I've talked about this before, the area of the ice where the puck gets shot from were not dangerous, but the way it, if it deflects off of a teammate stick and in, that's hard. It's, the implication is that he let in 2 low danger shots, but when it goes off of a teammate stick and in, what are you going to do about that? So, but the second goal he allowed was unfortunate, to say the least. Phoenix Copley now 0-1 on the season, and we'll see if he gets another start this year. I won't say I'm hoping not, because that sounds mean, but that would also mean that Darcy Kemper is back and doing well. So I guess I'm hoping not, as much as I like Phoenix Copley. Andrei Kuzmenko scored the Kings' second goal of the game to make it 3-2, took the pass at center ice, attacked the net, but instead of going to the net, he cut around the back of it and put in a very nice wraparound goal. Kuzmenko does have some very nice offensive skills. When he's aggressive, I think he needs to be more of that. He was on this goal, and that's his 7th goal of the season, 11th point on the year. He does have 4 goals in his last 7 games, and he's got 2 power play goals in the mix there. So overall, it probably hasn't been as noticeable as we would like it to be, because it hasn't led to the team winning more. But I would say Andrei Kuzmenko may be coming around a little bit, and that is not a bad thing. Kevin Fiala scored the Kings' first goal after a face-off at center ice right after Seattle had scored. The Kings dump it in. Anze Kopitar gets on the forecheck, pressures, forces a turnover, and Fiala is there to get that turnover and score on a very nice backhander. Made an extra stick handle in tight. He recognized that he had time and space to do that and roofed it into the top of the net. Very skilled goal, and it comes off a very basic play. Dump it in, forecheck, turnover, and there you go. Fiala moved into a tie with Adrian Kempe for the team lead in goal scoring with 13, and he has 24 points in the season, also second to Adrian Kempe. Alex Laferriere did not have a point in this game, but I thought he had a great game. I had mentioned in our last show how he had a couple of off games following, a group of really, really good games for him. But he had, maybe his best game of the year. Of course, none of his great work directly resulted in a Kings goal, which was unfortunate, but he was flying around. He was hitting anything that moved, shooting the puck any chance he got. 9 shots on goal in this one, which it's got to be a career high and maybe a season high for the Kings for any individual player. Also had 4 hits, which was amongst the most on the team. Now, he did take a bad penalty in the third period. He played the puck with his hand in a face-off. You can't do that. It's an automatic penalty. So a brain fart there for Alex Laferriere, but otherwise I thought he had a really, really great game. Quentin Byfield, no points. He was a -2, 3 shots on goal. He was really bad in the face-off circle. He took 24 face-offs. He lost 16 of them. Probably the most noteworthy thing he did was he did draw a penalty in the third period, but Q finishes the month of December with no goals and no points. He's gone 17 games without a goal and 10 games without a point. He is frozen cold right now. Alex Turcotte had no points. He had a shot on goal. 12 minutes, 11 seconds of ice time. We're keeping tabs on him now because of him getting that elevated role as the third line center. He continues to be really good in the faceoff circle, at least in limited action against the Kraken. He won 8 of 11 faceoffs, 72.7%. That is very good. Anze Kopitar, the captain, did not have a point, still at 12.95, 12 points away from passing Marcel Dion to become the LA Kings all-time leading scorer. As far as the total stats in this one for the Kings, you've got Andrei Kuzmenko and Kevin Fiala with the goals. Brandt Clark and Drew Doughty had the only assists. As I mentioned, Alex Laferriere led the Kings in shots on goal with 9. Brandt Clark had 2 block shots to lead the team. Adrian Kempe and Quentin Byfield each had 5 hits. Drew Doughty led the Kings in ice time, 23 minutes, 59 seconds. And Andrzej Kopitar was the Kings' best man in the faceoff circle. He was great in the faceoffs in this one. He won 17 of 23 faceoffs. Phillip Danault speaks, as does his agent, about him leaving LA and the circumstances around it. We'll tell you what they said and react to it next on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a quarterback gets hot, a defense tightens up, or momentum flips on a key turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as the player heats up. You can bet on who will score the next touchdown, what will happen on the next drive, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action as the season heats up, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Did want to check the standings, and as the Kings go through this slump, it is curious that they are not losing any ground in the standings, at least when it comes to the wild card. They are still the number one wild card team in the Pacific. The two teams that are directly behind them, the Utah Mammoth and the San Jose Sharks, also both lost in their final games before the Christmas break. So the Kings have 39 points in 36 games, while the Mammoth have 39 points in 39 games for the number 2 wildcard spot. So the Kings with 3 games in hand on Utah. The Sharks have 37 points in 37 games. So the Kings have a game in hand on the Sharks as well. Seattle did help themselves in the wildcard race. They have 36 points. They're 3 points behind the Kings for a wildcard spot. And they do have a game in hand on LA. So again, I guess the good news in all of this is that even with the Kings playing so poorly, they still have a fairly decent grasp on a wild card spot. I wasn't planning on talking about Phillip Danault, but he came out with a comment on leaving the LA Kings, and I did want to comment on it because I thought it was somewhat interesting. Now, this was translated from French, so there's always the possibility that something wasn't translated exactly how it was meant. But Phillip Danault told the media in Montreal, quote, as far as leaving the Kings, quote, "I felt like I had no purpose and that I couldn't bring anything to the team with what I had. I felt helpless and not important. That's how I felt at the end," end quote. Interesting comments. He is taking some ownership of this as far as saying that he felt he couldn't bring anything to the team. I don't know about the part where he says he felt like he was not important. And again, I'm not in the locker room, but I'd mentioned it before. I could understand him wanting out if his ice time had been cut significantly and his role had been diminished. It hadn't. I think the Kings still very much felt Phillip Danault was an important part of this team, despite all of his offensive struggles, because of some of the things I've mentioned when we've talked about Phillip Danault before. A veteran guy with playoff experience who's a very good defensive player and can take faceoffs and do a pretty good job with that. I think the Kings felt very comfortable and fine with Phillip Danault if and when they were able to get into playoff hockey. I think they felt he was an asset as a depth centerman when the playoffs came around. I do not think the Kings wanted to trade Phillip Danault. Now, did he ask out or not? His agent came out with a lengthy social media post trying to claim that Phillip Danault did not demand a trade out of LA. He explained, and this is on social media if you want to check it out yourself, he explained that he and Ken Holland had discussions over time and that maybe it was the best for both parties to move in another direction. He said that was not demanding a trade, that he had never said, "I want out of LA." He had merely suggested that with the way things were going, maybe it could be the best for both parties to move on. He went on to praise Ken Holland as being a great person to deal with, who he's dealt with in the past, and thought he was great in dealing with this situation. So, in my opinion, I think this is his agent trying to spin it that Phillip Danault didn't demand out of LA, but he was open to the possibility. Now, what the truth is, I don't know. I tend to believe what Elliot Friedman had to say, and that the Kings were not happy that Phillip Danault, I think he expressed that he wanted out. And the Kings didn't want to trade him, but felt like he had kind of checked out on them. And that's my opinion on it. And frankly, I'm surprised by it and pretty disappointed with it. I liked Phillip Danault. I thought he was an asset for this team. I felt like the Kings stuck by him while he was having clearly a struggle offensively, because they knew how important he was to them in other areas. He was wearing an A on his sweater as part of the leadership of this group. And I thought it was, I know that I saw a listener had messaged me, said that Dennis Bernstein, who covers the Kings, said on the Kings of the podcast that apparently this kind of stemmed from a game in San Jose in November where he got benched in the third period. And I certainly remember that. But the next game, Phillip Danault played 19 minutes. It wasn't like I think as a coach, when a guy's struggling, sometimes you try and send him a message. And I thought that was a bit of a message. But the next game, he was like, okay, get back out there. Show me what you got. He played a season high in minutes, and he played a pretty good game, as I remember, after that. So that's not a coach, putting you in the doghouse. That's a coach trying to motivate you. And I don't know. I tend to believe that Phillip Danault did, in fact, want out. And I think it's very disappointing. I thought the Kings were very good to him. I thought he was good for the Kings. If he wanted to explore a trade after the season was over, I think that would have been appropriate if he felt like he wasn't valued here. But to quit on the rest of those guys in the middle of a season and want out, I don't think that reflects very favorably on Phillip Danault, in my opinion. There was some other news the other day involving the Kings that, because of everything that's been going on, haven't really gotten into it. But I did want to mention that the LA Kings did sign one of their prospects to a 3-year entry-level contract. Still haven't signed their number one pick from this year, but they did sign Jimmy Lombardi. No relation, by the way, to Dean Lombardi, if you were curious. He was the Kings' 4th-round pick in this year's draft. He's had a breakout season in the OHL already this year with the Flint Firebirds. He's already posted a career best with 21 goals and 41 points in 33 games. He's 18 years old and will be playing at the University of Michigan next season. So a player that got a 4th-round pick for the Kings, had a great year, and maybe kind of a diamond in the rough in the Kings system, Jimmy Lombardi. Also wanted to mention, since we're not going to have a show for a couple of days because of the Christmas break, the World Junior Championships being held in Minnesota start on December the 26th. They run through January the 5th. And the LA Kings are going to be very well represented with 6 players competing in this event. On Team USA, you've got 1st-round pick from this year's draft, defenseman Henry Brustevich. He's going to be playing along with 7th-round pick from this year in 2025, Brendan McMorrow, who's a forward. So 2 LA Kings prospects are on Team USA. They will open up against Germany on the 26th. Team Canada has a pair of LA Kings prospects as well. 2024 1st-round pick forward Liam Greentree and 2024 2nd-round pick goalie Carter Hart. Canada opens up against Czechia on the 26th. Speaking of Team Czechia, they will have Kings' 2nd-round pick in 2025 forward Wojtek Šihar on their roster. And finally, Team Finland will have 2025 5th-round pick goalie Petteri Reppinen in net for them. And Finland will open up against Denmark on the 26th. All those games will be broadcast on the NHL Network if you're interested in watching. And we will keep you up to date here on Locked on LA Kings, how those 6 Kings prospects do in the upcoming World Junior Championships. For you everydayers, those of you that listen and watch Locked on LA Kings every day, coming up, our next show is going to be our weekly fan feedback show. So even though we have a couple of shows off for the holidays, we are accepting your emails and your feedback on what's going on with the LA Kings. The email address is lockedoneddie@gmail.com, EDDIE. You're always welcome to post your thoughts if you're watching on YouTube in the comment section. Love for you to stay connected with the show on social media, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We are at Locked On LA Kings. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On LA Kings, and make sure you subscribe and follow so you get all the latest episodes. And did Locked On LA Kings make your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayers Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club and get your favorite show ad-free plus exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. That'll do it for this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great Christmas. Have a great holiday. I hope you guys enjoy. Take a break from the LA Kings and the stress they've been giving us lately. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your time off. Enjoy some good food. And we'll be back after the holidays and talk some more Kings here on Locked On LA Kings. As always, thank you for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time. And as always, go Kings go.